Welcome to Servant of the Fates. Today, the Rider-Waite is both the most popular tarot deck and a tarot reading system. But there are so many decks that walked so that the Rider-Waite could run. And here are my top 10 among them. Number 10. Tarot de Madrone, 1760. Before this deck's arrival, tarot was just a card game. The Madrone was the first ever tarot deck to be used for divination. It comes in this very sturdy box that's typical of Los Carabeos Anima Antiqua or Ancient Soul series. I have copy 2780 out of 2999. This little booklet does not include divination meanings, but it does talk about the history of the deck in detail. You have about 5 to 6 pages for the English. The backs look like this. Pretty classic. The cardstock is thick enough, although to preserve authenticity, these cards are not varnished. That is why you can overhand shuffle them, but riffle shuffling will definitely ruin them. Here are some of the cards. You will find that the structure is very similar to that of the Rider-Waites. We have the Fool, the Magician, the High Priestess, the Empress, the Emperor, the Pope or the Hierophant. The Lover is of course different. You have one guy, the Lover, choosing between two women in this deck. The Chariot. Justice was of course number 8 and Strength was number 11 before A.E. Waite changed it for the Rider-Waite deck in 1909. They kept all of these little mistakes, fadings, and stains to make sure that this deck is an authentic reproduction of the original. The Hermit, the Wheel of Fortune, Strength, the Hanged Man, Death, Temperance. Look at her face. She should sue her surgeon. The Devil. This is my favorite card, the Tower. It's not even scary to me. It looks like it's raining M&Ms or Skittles. Delicious. The Star, the Moon, the Sun. You have 2 kids instead of 1. Judgment, and the World. Very familiar, right? It's like the depiction that Pamela Coleman Smith made for the Rider-Waite. The Wands look like that. We have the Ace of Cups. Swords look like this. You have the 2 of Pentacles and some of the court cards. The Page, the Knight, the Queen, she looks angry, and the King. Tarot de Madrone was the Rider-Waite's predecessor. It went on to become the gold standard for almost 2 centuries. Number 9. Sopraffino Tarot, 1835. This is, in essence, the Italian Madrone. It's a masterpiece of 19th century Italian tarot. The box has the world on the cover. It has the Il Meneghello seal. Il Meneghello is a shop in Milan where everything, every tarot deck, every card in every tarot deck is lovingly handmade. It says Tarocco Sopraffino, Milano, 1835. Open it up and we have this disclaimer saying this item is created by hand. Any imperfections or variations are due to its workmanship and are not to be considered as defects. I have copy 220 out of 2000. The backs of the cards are like this, very tiny, and they're also very thick. For authenticity, they have not been rounded. Very sharp. Here are some of the cards. The Fool, looking very friendly. The Magician, so fashion forward, very colorful. The High Priestess. The Empress. The Emperor, so serious. The Pope or the Hierophant. Look at Judas there planning his next crime. The Lovers. The Chariot. Justice is asleep. The Hermit. The Wheel of Fortune. Strength. Look at this lady. She hates that lion with all of her soul. The Hanged Man. I love the staining. Really, it makes everything look so old and genuine. Death. Temperance. The Devil. The Tower. Star. She is so beautiful. So pretty. The Moon. I guess they're eating the lobster now. Fine Dining Tarot. the Sun, Judgment, and the World. This deck is quite rare, so if you cannot find a copy, get your hands instead on the ancient Italian tarot from the 1880s. There are differences. They're not twins, but they're definitely siblings. Number 8. Tarot Égyptien, circa 1875. This deck preserves the belief of mystics at the time that tarot originated in Egypt. This was debunked in the early 1800s, but the myth lives on. The box is another Anima Antiqua box, so very sturdy. I have copy 2826 out of 2,999. The booklet, as before, it talks about the history of the deck. You have about 5 pages for the English, and the backs are like this. See, they're very plain to keep the feel, the authentic look and feel of the original deck. And the cardstock, it's rather thin, and in addition to that, you cannot riffle shuffle them because they are unvarnished. Here are some of the cards. Thea, of course, has his very own structure that's rather unique to him. We have on the upper left and the lower right the numbers of the cards. They're numbered 1 to 78. And then we also have upright as well as reversed meanings. Here we have Temperance, Prudence, one of the cardinal virtues, Strength, the Lovers looks like that, the Devil, the Magician. She looks so awesome. It's like she's in an action movie or something like that. Judgment, suspended in the air like death. The Hermit, the Tower, the Wheel of Fortune, the Chariot. I love that little mistake. See, that red should have come down until here. The bottom of his robe. The Fool is numbered 78. And then the Wands look like this. The Cups look like that. The Swords, rather cute. And look at the Ace of Pentacles. She's more fabulous than everybody else. Quite unfair for the others. We have a Page, a Knight, a Queen who looks quite enraged, and the King of Cups. The main value of Tarot Égyptien lies in the fact that it is a variant of a deck by French fortune teller Thea, who was the world's first professional tarot reader. Number 7. Grande Thea, 3rd edition, 1870. This is another variant of Thea's deck as reproduced by his students. Thea is tarot royalty because he was the first to create a tarot deck solely for divination. Since the publisher decided to call this deck the Book of Thoth, the box is made to look like a book. Right? Very cute. The backs are like this. They are perfectly reversible, and even though the cardstock is not so thick, it does feel very durable. We have a little white book that talks about the history of the deck, about a dozen pages for the English, as well as divination meanings, which is very useful because the structure of this deck is not similar to that of the Rider-Waite. Here are some of the cards. The structure is similar to the one that we just looked at, Tarot Égyptien. You have all of these unique to Thea cards. But you also have some that we can recognize, like Justice, Temperance, Strength, Prudence, the Lovers, the Devil, the Magician, Judgment, Death is Dancing, that's nice. We have the Hermit or the Priest, and then the Tower, the Wheel of Fortune. We have the African despot. He's like a bad version of the Emperor. And then you have the Fool, number 78. The Wands look like that. The Ace of Cups, the Two of Swords, the Four of Pentacles, and then I love his lipstick. It looks good on him. You have the Knight of Cups, the Queen of Swords, very elegant, and the King of Pentacles. Tarot readers today owe a lot to Thea because he was the first to write a tarot reading instruction book. He even coined the word cartomancy. Number 6. Ancient Tarot of Lamberty, circa 1810. Also known as Neoclassical Tarot, this exquisite deck from Milan showcases the regal fashion of the time. On the box, we have strength. Some say that's Hercules, others say that's Samson from the Bible. I say it looks like a nice Gryffindor poster. It's the same Il Meneghello box. We have this disclaimer about every card being handmade. I have copy 1473 out of 2000. The back looks like this, very classic, as always, durable and not rounded, so that it looks as authentic as the original. Here are some of the cards. They are so elegantly drawn. The Fool, the Magician, the High Priestess. The Empress looks like the Snow Queen. The Emperor, the Pope or the Hierophant, the Lovers. This is so interesting. This time around, it's the woman who gets to choose between two options. The Chariot, Justice, the Hermit. I love that color in him. The Wheel of Fortune. Again, we have this guy, Hercules, Samson, Gryffindor, the Hanged Man, Death, Temperance. I love that gown. The Devil, the Tower, the Star, the Moon, the Sun. They are so cute, little angels. Judgment, and the World. We should be very familiar with this card if you know how to read the Rider-Waite. It looks very, very similar to Pamela Coleman-Smith's design. The wands are like Cheetos, chocolate Cheetos. The cups are like that. This is the Ace of Swords, the Four of Pentacles. I adore the way they drew this page. Very whimsical and very fairy tale-like. The Knight of Pentacles, so strong. The Queen of Swords and the King of Wands. Of the many tarot decks of the period, Neoclassical Tarot is among the most refined. Number 5. Tarocchino Mitelli, circa 1660. This masterpiece from Bologna is called a tarocchino because it is a mini tarot. It has just 62 cards. Its suits do not include the 2s, 3s, 4s, and 5s. We have Apollo as the sun on the cover. I have copy 2828 out of 2,999. The booklet has Diana as the moon on the cover. And then you have the history of the deck as always. The backs are like this. It says trombetta or trumpet, and as always, it's not that thick to preserve the authenticity. The cards are rather thin and unvarnished, so it's not recommended to riffle shuffle them. Here are some of the cards: the Fool, the Magician with a lot of fans, and instead of the High Priestess, we have High Priest number 1, the Empress, the Emperor, High Priest number 2, the Lovers, the Chariot, Justice, the Hermit. I feel bad for him. The Wheel of Fortune. Strength looks like she's so bored. The Hangman, how brutal. I love it. Death, Temperance, the Devil, the Tower looks like that. The Star. The Moon is Diana, the Sun is Apollo, and then you have Trumpets or Judgment, and then the World. Minor Arcana. This is so creative, the way they did the wands. The Ace of Cups looks like that. The Swords, the Pentacles, and look at this page of wands. It looks like he's posing for the school yearbook or something like that. The Page of Cups. The Queen of Pentacles. Look at her throwing all her money. Wow, what a braggart. And the King of Swords. He looks like he's complaining about having to wear a mask or something. If reading a typical pip deck is boring for you, Tarocchino Mitelli's whimsical and colorful illustrations could change your point of view. Number 4. Meate Etruria, 1806 to 1807. This other Italian deck is the opposite of the Mitelli. Instead of removing some cards, it added more, boasting a total of 97. The box is so cute. It's so small but also thick because this deck has 97 cards. I have copy 2469 out of 2,899. The booklet, as always, it talks about the history of the deck as well as the order of the triumphs or the major arcana, because it's so different from what we're used to. You have the zodiac signs here. You also have the elements as well as other major arcana that they placed after the additional cards. The backs look like that. They say Etruria, and as always, rather thin and unvarnished, so not good for riffle shuffling. Let's look at some of the cards. We have the Fool, the Magician, they're all numbered. We have the Empress, there's no High Priestess. That is the Emperor, the Hierophant, the Lovers, Temperance, Strength, Justice, the Wheel of Fortune, the Chariot, the Hermit, the Hanged Man, Death. Look at him going into battle. The Devil, he doesn't look scary, rather he looks scared. The Tower, and then you have the Virtues. This is Hope. She is Prudence. She is Faith, and that is Charity. And then the elements of fire, water, earth, and air. The zodiac signs: Libra, Virgo, Scorpio, Aries, Capricorn, Sagittarius, Cancer, Pisces, Aquarius, Leo, Taurus, Gemini. The Star, the Moon, the Sun, lovely, the World, and Trumpets or Judgment. And then you have the Wands, they look like that. The Ace of Cups, so regal. And then you have the Pentacles, it looks like a poster for some boy band or something. And then the Swords. This is the Page, she is female, Page of Cups. We have this Centaur for the Knight of Swords. They didn't have enough ink, so they painted them together. He and his horse. And then the Queen is beautiful, as well as the King. Very royal, very regal. If you want a deck that includes the zodiac signs and the 4 elements to help you further study astrology, then consider finding a Meate copy. Number 3. Sola Busca. This Italian treasure was the first ever tarot deck with a fully illustrated minor arcana. It is also suspected to be a heavily encrypted grimoire. The box is grand. It opens up this way, and you have the book, which talks about who the people are in the major arcana, which is so important because they are not the figures that we know. They are people from Roman history, very important emperors and soldiers and other figures. And this is what the back of the cards looks like. A very shiny red marble, close to the original. The cardstock is thick, it's glossy, it's durable. It's perfect for any kind of shuffling. It's going to last. I'm going to show you the cards that inspired the Rider-Waite. So the 3 of Swords was taken from this. The 10 of Wands was actually taken from the 10 of Swords of the Sola Busca. The 7 of Swords, very similar. The Page of Cups, they have the same stance, right? The Knight of Cups, the wings, the pose of the horse, and the way they're looking towards their right. The Queen of Cups, again, the stance, the gesture, very similar. And finally, the 8 of Pentacles was actually taken from the 6 of Discs of the Sola Busca. The most fascinating thing about this deck is not the rich colors or the clever anagrams. It's the fact that tarot was still very much in its youth in the 15th century, making the Sola Busca a true prodigy. Number 2. Visconti Sforza, circa 1451. This deck, which was created for the Viscontis and the Sforzas, ruling families of Milan, is the most complete of the oldest surviving tarot decks. Of its 78 cards, only 4 are missing: the Devil, the Tower, the Three of Swords, and the Knight of Coins. It comes in this big, sturdy, glamorous box. It opens up that way, and you have the book, a masterpiece of a book. It has over 140 pages, and it talks about the history of the deck and then the meanings of the cards. Highlights on the major arcana, and then upright and reversed meanings for the minor arcana. The deck itself is in its own top box, and the back of the cards looks like this. Isn't that lovely? It's not reversible, but it passes for it, so that's perfectly fine. Cardstock is medium in thickness, and it's safe to shuffle any way you want. Here are some of the cards. The Fool, the Magician, the High Priestess looks like she's tired of your lies. The Empress is pregnant with abundance. The Emperor. The Hierophant kind of looks like Santa Claus. The Lovers. The Chariot. Justice. The Hermit. The Wheel of Fortune. Strength. That is one tiny lion. The Hanged Man. Death. Temperance. The Devil. The Tower. The Star, who looks like the twin sister of the Moon. The Sun. Judgment. The World, babies with abs. The Wands suit looks like that. That's the Ace. We have the Two of Cups. The Swords are like this. Pentacles. And then you have this very cute Page of Wands. The youngest and shortest Knight of Cups ever. We have the Queen of Swords and the King of Pentacles. The Visconti Sforza went on to inspire the structure of Tarot de Marseille, and in turn that of the Rider-Waite, and therefore of the countless decks that we have today. And number 1, Visconti De Madrone, 1442 to 1447. As you can tell by the name, this deck was also commissioned by the Viscontis. The difference is that this one has 89 cards because it includes the theological virtues, hope, faith, and charity, as well as female knights and pages. However, only 67 cards survived, and the rest had to be reimagined. The design of the box is very similar to that of Sola Busca's. It opens up like that, and then you get this book that talks about the meanings of the cards as well as the history of the deck. The backs look like this, very classic and perfectly reversible. The thickness is just medium, but it does have a lot of gloss, so it's well protected. The original deck was as expensive as a house because it had real gold and silver. Look at the Fool. Look at him shine. We also have the Magician and his little customer, the High Priestess, the Empress and her minions, the Emperor and his minions, the Hierophant, the Lovers, the Chariots, Justice. Wow, she's really pulling off that gray gown. The Hermit, the Wheel of Fortune, Strength. I love that color on her. Wow, way to go. Silver. The Hanged Man, Death. We have Temperance, the Devil. His tummy is so disturbing. The Tower. We also have these gorgeous colors on the Star, the Moon, the Sun, Judgment, and the World. Now we are looking at the virtues. She is hope. She's faith. This is charity. And this is your female page alongside your male page. We also have your female knight alongside the male knight. And then, of course, we have this gorgeous queen and this king who looks like he can be very demanding. Historians believe the Visconti De Madrone, also known as the cary-yale Visconti, to be the oldest tarot deck still in existence, essentially making it the mother of every deck that every tarot reader owns today. There you have it, my top 10 historical tarot decks. For more tarot, Lenormand, Oracle, Sibilla, and Kipper recommendations, check out the links below. Thank you for joining me today. I wish you all the best in your own tarot journey. Take care.